Today, I would like to bring you a message of reconciliation. Today, I would like to encourage and empower us as a community of trans and gender non-conforming individuals to live into our birthright that began at Stonewall with the first heel thrown by a Latina drag queen. In 2007, the Employment Nondiscrimination Act was before Congress at the federal level. It did not necessarily have the best chances of getting passed into law, but it did have the opportunity to create change through open debate and the birth of a nationwide dialogue in a really big way. In 2007, the Human Rights Campaign worked behind the scenes to remove gender identity from the bill, and the community, over 300 organizations in United ENDA alone, said, "Hell no." ENDA did not pass. HRC, in ignoring its community, brought shame to itself and intense emotions of betrayal, hurt, anger, and even disgust from the trans community. We as a community have a long memory and tough skins when it comes to forgiveness. I want to honor that. I have not come to you via the power of video today to ask you to forgive and forget 2007. However, the lessons of Stonewall tell us that, 1. Our brothers and sisters of color who know more about differential treatment than we do can teach us more and much more about focus. 2, a small group of people can make a difference. A small group of people coming together regardless of history and backgrounds can actually spark a movement. 3, we cannot be throwing bottles at each other if we want to be effective in fighting injustice. The Human Rights Campaign has done amazing work since 2007. As an organization, they have refined and toned the Corporate Equality Index, and they created 2 new tools, the Healthcare Equality Index, HEI, and the Municipality Equality Index, NEI. Most of all, they have hired and recruited quality allies of our community. At the national level, ENDA is heating up again. It may not make it out of Congress this year, specifically the House of Representatives. However, we have good possibilities of seeing traction in the Senate. It is because of the hard work of many people, notably Mara Kiesling of the National Center for Transgender Equality, the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, and the Human Rights Campaign, in coalition with other national groups, that have positioned us where we are today. If we are going to not forget, then we need to take measure of that fact. At the local level, I have met fine HRC governors and passionate advocates who get trans realities across the state, whom also are a part of the Human Rights Campaign. They are creating change by talking about our lives and our needs internally. They are joining us silently and in solidarity at Transgender Day of Remembrance ceremonies, at celebrations, at conferences, and in doing the hard, on-the-ground work in advocacy. One example of that is in San Antonio. San Antonio City Council is considering this month a city ordinance, a human rights ordinance, that would extend non-discrimination protections on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, and veteran status in housing, public accommodations, and city employment. It also embraces religious freedom. Your faith will not be called into question by working for the city of San Antonio in any capacity. Transgender Education Network of Texas, San Antonio Gender Association, Equality Texas, and yes, the Human Rights Campaign have been key players in this coalition to get us where we are today. Later this month, HRC governors across the state will be phone banking in support of the San Antonio Initiative. We are all part of this fight. As I promised, I'm not going to ask you to forgive or even forget 2007. You do not have to let HRC off the hook. However, as at Stonewall, we have important work ahead of us. San Antonio is an important fight today and now. Attached to this video and transcript will be contact information for San Antonio City Council members who would benefit from your viewpoint. It does not matter whether you live in San Antonio or not. If, like me, you were born in Alamo City, that is worth mentioning. Equality and justice are not commented on just by residents of a particular city. Call each of the City Council members on our contact list, email them, send them a handwritten letter, Stand with us at the Alamo, remember Stonewall, and respectfully ask City Council to pass the Human Rights Ordinance in its most inclusive form. Include sexual orientation, gender identity, and veteran status. Thanks for listening. For Transgender Education Network of Texas, I'm Katie Stewart, Executive Director.